Hey there, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about a transfer life form. So a transfer life form basically puts a body on some sort of simulation. So the first thing we're going to need for this is a simulation. I'm not going to rebuild it because we did that in a previous tutorial, but I am going to just add it to our cycle system. So here's that first simulation, the wavy lines that we made. But basically, we're going to want to make it so lighting actually works on these things. So the next thing, in order to do that, we're going to make a transfer life form. So the way that we do that is we make a new game object. We say transfer life form. Transfer life form is going to need a body. The body is going to need mesh verts and mesh tries. In this case, instead of using mesh verts and mesh tries, we're actually going to say particle transfer verts and particle transfer tries. And those essentially procedurally create particles, quads around every single particle. So we need a reference to the particles that we're making them for, and the transfer tries need a reference to the transfer verts that it's making it for. And then we're going to give those to the body. We're going to give it a material. Let's make them the particles. We're going to make sure those are assigned up here. And then we're going to add our life. So our life in this case, we're going to use a compute shader called particle transfer. And these are all sort of pre-made compute shaders, but I'll teach you guys how to make your own compute shaders later on. But essentially this can be any compute shader you want, and this can be any kernel name that you want. In this case it's particle transfer and it's forward. I'm going to make sure that that's active, and then I'm going to give that to the transfer as well. So the last thing that we're missing, aside from giving it a bit of a radius, is basically this thing called skeleton. So skeleton is the thing that's going to be driving the transfer life form. So in that case, again, it's just the wavy particles. So we've got a radius now, and we're going to just make this sort of run. We want to make sure that it runs after our simulation is run. So what I'm actually going to do is make sure I'm going to drag that cycle instead of into data. I'm going to drag it into the simulation cycle. So it's going to run the particles, it's going to run the life, and then it's going to run our transfer life form. I rebuild. It's not going to do anything yet because A, we need to make it active, and B, we need to show the body. So now, as you can see, we've made a bunch of tiny little particles. We can change that actual radius, and you can see the radius of the particles change, which is pretty cool. And you can also see that they're billboarded to the camera view down here. So that is just because we're using the kernel called forward in particle transfer.